America's Army is a video game meant to recruit children into the U.S. Army by showing them that Iraq is like this. Let's hit the reset button. Iraq is a game. And so we decided to send them a message about what Iraq is, because we can be more than signposts in the street.
On deployment, I realized a lot of things about the reality of what was going on the ground on a daily basis in Iraq, and I realized that things didn't add up. The way that the media and the government was projecting the war to the American people wasn't what we were seeing on the ground in Iraq. And I realized when I came home that rather than being indifferent, just like, you know, the typical misinformed person, then I might as well stand up and have my voice be heard about it. With, you know, because I have, as a veteran, a first-hand experience as to what's actually going on.
I was in Iraq during the first year of the war, and I saw how the sentiment of the Iraqi people changed from "thank you for getting rid of Saddam" to "get the hell out of our country." In the 5 years that our nation has been in Iraq, or rather that our nation's military has been in Iraq, while the rest of the nation is out at the mall, America has not become safer. The war in Iraq is breeding contempt for the United States all over the world, and it creates, rather than hinders, terrorism.
What is it that you read at IDW?
An undeniable sense of justice, an injustice done that needs to be righted. So it draws me to IDW. I don't know.
For people who don't know what that injustice is, tell them what it is.
Well, the injustice of a war based on lies, you know, and the occupation sustained by lies, and the sick feeling that I get in my stomach when I'm really forced to confront that and think that I enthusiastically risked my life for a lie.
Well, how about like multiple wars of aggression? The fact that our Constitution's been butchered, the fact that Americans no longer have their own privacy due to the Patriot Act, the fact that habeas corpus is no longer standing. I mean, the fact that torture was allowed, the fact that you know, they're trying to crack down on people's freedom of speech, and that's not acceptable. I didn't fight for this country to see freedoms get taken away, and they're not going to be taken away because people aren't going to stand for it.
There's bombs over Baghdad, but we're dumb, blind, and deaf unless we're left holding a bag. Like these war orphan kids who never knew their dads are left with their hands on their chests, clutching folded up flags. And while Blackwater soldiers keep shooting, as long as it's prostitutes.
In accordance with Army Public Affairs regulation, the opinions expressed in this speech are those of the author and do not reflect the official opinions, positions, or policies of the Department of Defense, the United States Army, or the United States government. Okay, what you got to ask me?
1346-1 or .1 allows you to speak up, allows you to have these rights of dissent. The regulation governing protest and dissident activities. You're allowed to do these things. It's just that the commands don't always recognize that. And no one wakes up and says, you know what, I'm a service member, I'm a veteran, I want to be an anti-war activist. Nobody does that. You know, it's a little too hard. But you do realize that it's necessary. You realize that all the values that compel you forward, compel you to do the right thing, compel you to stand up for what you believe is right. Everything you've trained for, everything you've ever believed in.
The primary reason why I oppose the war is because I know that it is my duty as a soldier not to rest until I've brought all my brothers and sisters back home. Just because I got my discharge doesn't mean I could just continue on living my life. First general order is, I will guard everything within the limits of my post and put my post on where properly relieved. My post as it stands right now is watching the back of the service members who are currently in Iraq. Keeping an eye out for them on the home. And I will be properly relieved only when they've all been brought home.
The first step in extinction is destruction of the mind.
So I pledge allegiance to the red, white, and blue, but I cannot pledge allegiance Patriotism is not blind loyalty, but rather loyalty to principle.
We swore an oath to defend the Constitution. It's our duty, it's our obligation. We will defend the principles on which this country was founded.
First, last, and always, I am an American soldier, sworn to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. Thank you.
Cracking and quaking and neglected by nations, fueled by hate and frustration, like the death of a nation.
We've heard from generals on the ground who have made it abundantly clear that they care more about their careers than the truth. We're doing the right thing. We've heard from politicians with their various agendas. We've heard from the media that it seems would rather cut and paste out of a Pentagon press release than do any kind of real investigative journalism. We've heard a little bit from troops on the ground, but to be honest, and it hurts to say it, you can't really get the full truth out of them either, because, like, at least for me in civil affairs, kind of a high-profile job over there, we were coached on what we were allowed to say to the media. What it came down to for us was, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And there's a lot of not nice shit that needs to be said about what's going on over there.
It is very common when you come home to feel alone, even if you're around a lot of friends and even if you have support from your family, because you've gone through this transformative experience and then you come home and have all these stories and all these things that you saw and did, and you can't share them and you're unsure how to share them. And then especially when you come back and your friends and family and just the public at large really don't know what's going on and really aren't interested, and that's really hard and that's very isolating. So even if you have a good support system, you can still feel very alone.
It says "You are not alone" on the back of my sweatshirt here and the sweatshirt of us, because it's difficult to speak out in the military. It's frowned upon, and you know, a lot of soldiers are looking around at what's happening in Iraq and they strongly disagree, but feel like they can't speak out, and you know, they might feel like they're alone in their beliefs, and we're here to tell them you're not alone. Other soldiers see how screwed up this government is right now, the corruption of this government, and we're going to bring justice on behalf of these soldiers and bring them back, get them the treatment they need, and you know, try to get reparations for the Iraqi people.
It's been really helpful for a lot of people to be around other veterans, and particularly with Iraq Veterans Against the War, we offer that place for veterans who are questioning the occupation in Iraq, questioning what their military service was, and coming to some different conclusions than they had if they were idealistic, you know, as young people going in, or supported the war in the beginning, or anything like that. We offer a place where people can come forward and talk about their experience, and that's welcomed. And so I think a lot about what IDAW about is about supporting each other and trying to help each other come back in and reintegrate into the society in a healthy way, while at the same time continuing to fight for our brothers and sisters who are still in the military and for what's right.
While I was in, I never even heard of IVAW while I was still, you know, active, but, you know, after having been out and knowing, you know, how the Iraq War is affecting, you know, soldiers, Marines, everybody else, American people, and how it affected me. When I actually found IVAW, it was like, you know, a breath of fresh air. Like, I felt isolated before that. Like, I felt like I was the only one that thought the way that I did and felt the way that I did, that had served, you know. It's like finding family, you know, the camaraderie that you had while you were in is here, or even better, you know, in some cases.
There are so many service members and veterans who are against this war. I encounter more service members myself because I'm still in, and I hear so many of them saying, this war is meaningless, this war is a joke, we should pull out, why are we pulled out now? You know, for various reasons. I mean, you have some people on one side saying we should have nuked it to glass and left, you have some people on the other side saying we should never have been there at all. But the universal feeling is pretty much we need to be out of there. And it's just so hard because we're used to people telling us, you can't speak out about things that are against our only policy. No, you don't have that right. And when we want to say you are not alone, we're speaking to the many service members and veterans who are holding their tongues, no matter how it pains them, holding their tongues in the thought that they're not allowed to express their constitutional liberties. And we want them to know that that's not the case, that we're there for them. And if any of them come to trouble or pain through speaking out, through exercising their liberties, please contact us. We are there, we will help you.